Let's review common data set information for Harvard and Brown University. So looking at Harvard, we see that everything is marked considered or not considered. This might make it challenging to put together an application strategy, but we'll go more into detail for these items later on. For Brown, we see that every academic criteria is marked very important. So that includes academic rigor, class ranking, academic GPA, standardized exam scores, application essays, and letters of recommendation. Now for non-academic criteria, two are marked very important for Brown: talents, ability, and character/personal qualities, while activities are marked important. Alright, so let's move down further for these schools' GPA information. Now, if we recall, Harvard says that they consider GPA and academic rigor, while Brown says it's very important. Now, despite Brown saying it's very important, we see here that they do not publish any specific GPA information. There is no average here, and there is no information about the ranges. Meanwhile, at Harvard, if you have less than a 3.75, you're extremely unlikely to get admitted. For admitted and enrolled students, we see here over 93% had at least a 3.75, and the average GPA at Harvard is a 4.2 weighted for incoming freshmen. Now for both schools, for the class ranking, we see that all students who were admitted and enrolled that included their class ranking were in the top half of the graduating class. And for those who were in the top 10% of their graduating class, that includes 94% of applicants who were admitted and enrolled, and 92% applicants who were admitted and enrolled at Brown. So even though Brown doesn't tell us exactly what the GPA average is or the ranges, we can at least see from the class ranking information that it's quite competitive. Now looking at the exam numbers, we see that a maximum 74% of students included their scores that were admitted and enrolled at Harvard. And for Brown, it's a maximum 76%. And I say maximum because, again, students could sometimes include both their SAT and or their ACT if they took both and did well on both. Now, it's important to remember that these common data sets were published before Harvard announced their going test required, which happened around a week ago, and Brown, who said they're going test required, which happened about 2 months before this video was made. So we will see that even though Brown already says that the exams are very important, that will remain very important, and for Harvard it will probably move from considered to important or very important as part of their academic criteria for admissions consideration. And as you guessed, for both Harvard and Brown, the bar is set high. The vast majority of students who were accepted and enrolled we're in the top percentiles for the SAT. We're looking at the 700 to 800 range for the math and reading, evidence-based reading and writing. And for the ACT composite, the vast majority had at least a 30. So definitely, if you want to make sure your application is competitive for both schools, address everything here that's included for the very important categories for Brown. And for Harvard, even though they say everything is just considered, you can imagine that everything is just important. I know it sounds weird to say that, but it is Harvard University after all. Year after year, they're consistently among the lowest acceptance rate, hardest to get into, and definitely they consider a lot as part of their admissions consideration.